Welcome to WordPress in 1 hour. My name is Paul Teague and I'm the Digital Development Manager at Cumbria Chamber of Commerce. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Lots of attendees for the webinar and lots of new names this week, which is very interesting. Lots of names that I don't recognise, as well as it's always good to see familiar names too. So welcome, and I hope that you find this week's webinar informative. And just to let you know that I stay around after the main teaching section, which goes from 7 till 8. I stay around for half an hour afterwards. I'm very happy to answer any specific questions that you've got. Very happy to jump on and work you through those and screen share and see if we can solve those problems for you. So thank you very much for joining us. Coming up on the webinar today, I'm going to show you how to set up a WordPress website. The good news about this is that it has no adverts, and this is genuinely for free. Usually when you get things for free, they're plastered with adverts, and nobody really likes those. So I'm going to show you how you can do it for free. But I want you to see how easy it is to set up a WordPress site, because I want you to understand that this is something that you can do. I want to demystify this whole process. Throughout the next hour, I'm going to give you hints, tips and strategies to help you to make the most of your WordPress site. And then I'm going to help you to find your way around a WordPress installation and show you some of the essential settings that you need to know. And just to let you know, by the way, that these slides and the webinar replay video is going to be available within 3 hours this evening of this live presentation. So you'll be getting an email fairly quickly after this evening's presentation with the replay video and the slides. And the slides always have extra information on for you, so if you want to dig a little bit deeper into WordPress, you can certainly do that. Let's dive straight in then. Why use WordPress? Why not just use something else? Well, WordPress is what's known as a CMS system. That means a content management system. Now, I've been making websites since 2001. And when I started making websites, we had to use things like HTML and PHP and horrible geeky things like that that generally make people run a mile. The great thing about CMS or content management systems is that they're database-driven systems, and once the thing that the site has been installed, you don't need any technical knowledge at all. It's really as simple as using Word once the site is installed. So if you know how to create a Word document, you know how to bold things and underline things, then pretty well once you've got a WordPress site, you're good to go. You don't really need to know much more than that, and you'll see that in my demonstration today. The other thing about having a WordPress site is that you are kind of caught with developers, and often you'd have to pay a couple of £100 just to get something fairly basic done, like a page update or some images adding to a site. Well, a lot of businesses I know who are members of the Chamber don't have that budget, and so therefore if you can do it yourself, this really empowers you and helps you to watch the pennies a bit more. So the reason I really like WordPress is it's very empowering. It is easy to install and simple to maintain. I'm going to show you how I install it live on the screen today, and you'll see that it really is less than a 5-minute job. Once it's installed, the updates are very quick to install. You can make it look how you want it to. It has a what you see is what you get interface, nothing technical required here. It's used by millions of people, 74 million plus people. That's the latest number that I can get. There's a reason that 74 million people use it and love it. It's because it's great and it's very easy to use. It has an extensive range of supporting plugins, and plugins, as you'll see later on in the presentation, these are things that give your website extra functionality. Plugins add social media buttons, and they take care of the SEO, the search engine optimization. And of course, you can add great themes to your WordPress site. You can make it look and feel exactly the way that you want it. And of course, really important these days, we need to add Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, all of the bits and pieces, the social media things that you need to have on a website. And again, with WordPress, that's a really easy thing to do. So, if you think that it's just a hobbyist's tool, then you're wrong, because if you take a look at the notable WordPress users on this screen, we've got CNN, New York Times, Forbes, Reuters, UPS, eBay, Katy Perry, the Rolling Stones even, all use WordPress. So the great thing about WordPress is you can use it in a very small way. You can use it using free plugins and themes, you know, in a very budget-friendly way. Or if you want to, obviously you can have teams of people working on it. You can scale it up and it can grow with your business. And that's the wonderful thing about having a WordPress site. It grows with you. Now, this is quite important. There are two versions of WordPress. It's really important that you use the right one. We have a self-installed version of the software. This is the harder version of the software that you can use. And we have another WordPress site that works very much like Blogger or Wix or Weebly, these free site tools that you can get. So I recommend that you use the self-installed version of the software, which is why I'm going to demonstrate for you this evening. And hopefully you'll just get a feel for how quick and easy this really can be. So WordPress.com is free, but it's very easy to install, but it doesn't allow you to put WordPress on what we call your own domain name. So generally you're going to want a domain name. Mine is paulteague.com, or for the chamber we've got cumbriachamber.co.uk. That's the domain name. But with WordPress.com you have to get what's called a subdomain, and a subdomain is not as neat as a top-level domain. So for instance, mine might be paulteague.wordpress.com using this system, and the chamber might be cumbriachamber.wordpress.com. It's not very well branded that way, so it's not the best way to do it. Now, you can buy a domain name and you can sort that out on WordPress.com, but the problem with WordPress.com is it's not a lot better than Weebly and Blogger and all of those other free options, because it's quite restrictive. You don't really get to unleash the real power of WordPress if you use this version. Granted, it's easier, but it's not really WordPress at its best. This is what I would like you to use, wordpress.org. Now, what I'm going to show you in a moment or two on a live screen is actually the way I want you to use wordpress.org, because if you went to that site right now, you would see the button that's on my screen just there. If I just get my highlighter, that download WordPress, and you're instantly into files and horrible things and, you know, techie stuff, and it's not so good. I'm going to show you a really easy way of installing WordPress in 5 minutes for free, if that's what you want to do, and you don't have to touch any of the code, any of the files, anything unpleasant at all. It's really, really easy to do. Now, for those of you who are watching this presentation this evening who already have WordPress sites, do follow the installation process, because I really want you to get a feel for how straightforward this is. It will give you a sense of the value of things if you're paying coders to do this, of the speed and how complicated these things really are. So the way that I teach people how to use WordPress for free is to use Hostgator. So you can see that on the screen right now, Hostgator. This is my favorite way to create a free WordPress site. The reason that I like Hostgator is because it doesn't plaster the site with adverts. Now, here's a hint for you. Even if you have your own WordPress sites already, you can set up a free Hostgator site as a what we call a sandbox area, a place where you can play, experiment and try things without fear of breaking your main website. So if you don't have a team of thousands working on your website, if it is something that generally you have to look after yourself, and you want a little practice area where you can learn WordPress without fear of breaking or damaging anything, then set up a Hostgator account for free. It's just tucked out of the way, and you can play with it and experiment with it as you please. Now, what I'm going to do right now is I am going to go to a live screen, and I'm going to talk you through how this works. So here is my live screen. This is Hostgator, and Hostgator, as I say, is free. When you start your Hostgator account, you're going to get started just here. I've already got a Hostgator account, and for speed this evening, I'm just going to log into that one. But when you use Hostgator, you are going to click on Get Started. And I don't want you to be put off by the fact that there are prices here. I want you to use the free one here, where it says 0. And it's a little bit counterintuitive, just to warn you of this, because you've got to click an order button. When you click an order button, it feels like you're about to pay for something. You're not going to pay for anything, so just go through the order process. It is free. There are no catches in there. Clearly Hostgator are trying to relieve you of your hard-earned cash, but ignore that entirely. We're using the free account just here. Okay, so let me log into my account. If I go to my member area here, I need to make sure I log in with the correct account. Incidentally, if you see me logging in this evening without having to remember my passwords, I'm using a free tool called LastPass, LASTPASS.com, LastPass.com. They bill it as the last password you'll ever have to remember. and it certainly is that. So when you see me not having to struggle for passwords, that's what's going on just there. So this is what your Hostgator account looks like. This is what we call a cPanel, a control panel, cPanel. And all we're going to do is we're going to head over to the auto installer. Now I think this is one of the great secrets of web building that people who are not happy to get their hands dirty with the code probably don't understand. And many web softwares now are what we call open source. They're free and they're contributed to by coders all over the world. And WordPress is what's called an open source piece of software. Now if you have a look at my screen right now, you will see all of these open source softwares. They do all sorts of wonderful things. There's a photo gallery there. Well, several photo galleries just here, as you can see. Survey and statistics softwares. We've got e-commerce sites. I'm just trying to look at the most popular sites just here. PrestaShop is very popular, and CubeCart is popular and very well used. OS Commerce is well used. Sugar CRM is well used. Invoicing tools we've got there. You can build your own forums using these tools. We're not going to do that right now, but all of these tools are free. And when you see how easy it is to install WordPress, they are as easy to install as WordPress is going to be. And I think many people don't understand this. They don't understand that if you get hosting with a cPanel, a control panel, which is what we're looking at the moment, it's really easy to install all of these things on your own. Now in this case, we're going to go for WordPress. So just let me get my highlighter pen out here so that you can see WordPress just there. That's what I'm going to be installing this evening. So let me erase my drawing, click on WordPress, and then this is our installation screen. And most of this we don't have to worry about. So this is just gobbledygook, which we don't need to worry about. It's just telling us all the bits and pieces that we're using here. This is an important bit just here. I'm sorry, I've made a bit of a mess of that screen. This is something that's quite important. When you get a free Hostgator account, one of the first things that you're going to do when you set up your account, and I haven't done it this evening, just really because we're pressed for time, you're going to be asked to create what's called a subdomain. And Hostgator gives you all sorts of horrible extensions. Can you see the one I've used here is .esy.es. So that's what's called a subdomain. So we're using a subdomain. So my web link using free Hostgator is paulteague.esy.es. And in actual fact, if you actually want to go to that link, you'll see this. You'll see that I'm doing this for real. At the moment, nothing's going to be there, but in a moment or two, I'm actually going to have installed a website on that link. So if you want to head over there now, so you can see that this really is live and it's, I'm not using any magic or special effects, then you can check that out right now. Now, this is an important thing though, just in this little box here. You don't really need to worry about it, just there. We are going to install WordPress on our top level domain. So when you click on paulteague.esy.es, it's not very catchy, is it? It's going to go directly to my WordPress site. But you can, if you want, install it into what we call a folder. So you could install it into /blog or my website. We're not going to do that, and seldom are we going to do that. We're just going to install it. We don't have to put anything there. Just ignore that and leave that blank. That's my advice to you, certainly the first time that you're installing. Language is generally going to be English as far as this webinar is concerned. We then need to come up with an administrator username and an administrator password. Now, one of the things that you will hear people say, people who don't like WordPress dissenters if you want, they will say to you two things about WordPress. There are two disadvantages about WordPress. One, they will say that it gets hacked and that there are security problems, and the other thing they will tell you is that sometimes it runs very slowly. Both of those things can be correct, but both of those things can very easily be put right. One of the most common causes of WordPress attacks or security problems are at this stage that we're looking at right here. In the old days when you got WordPress, instead of coming up with a nice administrator username, it used to use the default username admin. Now, the most common form of attack on a WordPress site is what's called a brute force login attack, which is where people just try and guess the username and password. And if they know that all the WordPress sites in the world start with the username admin, then you're halfway into the site already. You've just got to guess the password after that. So my very simple security tip is come up with a decent username. Don't use something like admin, and with your password, don't use an obvious password. Use something that's a little bit difficult to guess. Now, for the sake of this presentation this evening, I am actually going to use very simple passwords, just because I'm talking. I'm never good when I'm talking and having to remember things. So I'm just going to keep it all very simple. So I will just make sure that's got a very simple password. This site's just going to be deleted as soon as I've installed it. And the other tip that I would give you is make sure that the administrator email is an email that you check. I know a lot of people use disposable emails, or they use Hotmail accounts because they get fed up with people sending them emails that they don't want to read. For your WordPress account, make sure it's an email that you can pick up, because if you lose your password, that's the email that's going to be used by the software to communicate with you to reset your password. That's pretty well all we've got to do. Username, password, email. We don't need to worry about title and tagline just yet. We're just going to click install, and what's going to happen now is that Hostgator is going to install a WordPress site for us. Now, if you are using the if you're using the link, if you're looking at the link, I'm just going to open that up now, and in a moment or two, let's go and get that domain name, we will have a WordPress site just there. So I will post this in the, there we go, we've got it already. I'm going to post this in the chat box right now so that I can convince you that there is no magic here. So I'm going to put this in the chat box. The chat box, incidentally, if you're not used to webinars, in your top right hand corner you've got a little orange arrow that opens and closes a control console, and the chat box will be found in there, and I've just sent you a link to the WordPress site that I've just created. How long did that take? Even with talking, that probably took 5 minutes, but it takes about 2 minutes to create a WordPress site. Now, as you can see, there is our WordPress site. That is a WordPress site. We've just installed it in real time. So there is no magic to this, not when you use a cPanel system, and with Hostgator you can do it for free. Now, the problem with this site, and why I'm not recommending that you do this unless it's day one of your business and you really are strapped with your budget, the reason I'm recommending that you don't do this is because we're using Hostgator, we're stuck with that rather nasty domain name. That's not a professional branded domain name. I wouldn't really want to use that in my business, and that's why I say to you, use Hostgator as a practice site, get used to WordPress, see whether it's for you, use it for experimentation, but not really probably the best thing to use as your main site. I'm going to recommend something different for that. So if you want to go to that link and just convince yourself that I have created that WordPress site in real time, we're going to come back to that site in a moment or two, because I'm going to show you the second way now of installing a WordPress site. Now, there are many, many different ways of creating a WordPress site. There are very many different hosting companies that you can use. Now, I've been using WordPress for a lot of years now, and I've used a lot of hosting companies, so I am going to recommend the one that I use simply because I know that it does the job. But obviously, as with all things, it's a case of do your due diligence, make sure it's going to be fit for purpose in terms of your own business. But to fast track you, I can save you a lot of learning. I've been doing this a lot of years. I've tried a lot of companies that aren't very good, and I've tried companies that are great. And the company that I've settled on now is siteground.com. Siteground.com. Now, when you go to siteground.com, don't go for their general web hosting. Make sure that you go for their WordPress hosting. Now, this goes back to what I was saying about WordPress dissenters. WordPress dissenters will say security, WordPress has security problems. They will also say WordPress sometimes is slow. The antidote to a slow WordPress site is to get hosting that is specially tuned up for WordPress. SiteGround, or if you use this hosting package, is specially tuned up for WordPress. Now, if this is the first site that you're creating, then generally you need to go for just the startup. I actually, in my business, in my personal business, I'm actually using 2 GoGeek accounts. You do not need that as a beginner. If you've got one website, you only need the startup. That's absolutely fine. It will keep you going for a long time. If you do need to scale up, you just click a button, pay a little bit extra, and you can scale up if you need to. But most starter businesses are fine on the startup package. So this will give you a WordPress installation, plenty of sites, plenty of space, more space than you probably need for a basic website, and lots of visits. I'm sure that most small businesses in Cumbria will be delighted to have 10,000 visits monthly. So as you can see, that's going to be good for you for quite a while. Now, I checked this with the boss because there are two ways that you could do this. Because I use SiteGround, I am an affiliate for SiteGround, and if you buy through my link, you can get it cheaper. Now I need to flag up, in terms of a disclosure here, I get a kickback on that, but I checked with the boss that I'm allowed to mention that to you because it is actually the cheapest price you can get it for. So actually as a customer, it's a better price for you because I'm already a user of SiteGround. So again, always do your due diligence, make sure it's the right package for you, but you can go through siteground.com. It will cost you £2.75 per month and you will have to pay for your domain name. If you go through my own link, then you get the domain name thrown in and the hosting is slightly cheaper. So if you go to paulteague.com/siteground, that will take you to my affiliate link. Remember, I get a kickback on that, but you will get it cheaper. Please do your due diligence on that. And again, in the interest of full disclosure, I just wanted to mention that, but it is the cheapest you can get it if you get it through my link. The other thing that I want to do, to be completely transparent, is to let you know that another very good service for using WordPress, or one that I used for several years, is Hostgator, hostgator.com, hostgator.com. Now I used Hostgator for several years, it must be 6 or 7 years. I used them with some pretty big projects and used them till fairly recently. They're very good for starters. Go for their WordPress hosting there, very cheap, same sort of price as SiteGround. The reason that I stopped using Hostgator was as my business grew, my demands grew, I was not happy with the support. I'm delightfully happy with the support with SiteGround. So again, I want to show you alternatives here, but if you look at SiteGround and Hostgator, you're not going to go too far wrong when you're looking at your hosting. But for this example, I'm going to show you SiteGround because that's what I use in my personal business. So when you've got your SiteGround account, you will buy a domain name, and your domain name, this is the other joy of buying a domain name through a company like SiteGround, your WordPress site, when you install it, will be instantly matched up with your domain name. There's no tech or anything unpleasant to do there at all. So let me just close a couple of pages down. Let's close Hostinger down. Let's close that down. And then what you're seeing on your screen now is the administrative area of my SiteGround account. Now, a phrase that I want you to get used to when we're dealing with WordPress is cPanel. It just stands for Control Panel. It's where we do everything in our hosting account. And you don't need to worry about this at all. I'll show you my cPanel, and then I'll let you know how little of it that I actually use. So if I go to my cPanel in SiteGround, just here, this is a cPanel, and you may look at that and run a mile and say that's far too complicated for me. But to be honest with you, I've used cPanel for years, and I use pretty well that. I use that, and I use a couple of things to do with emails down at the bottom of the page. So just down here. So I use a little section down here, and that is pretty well it. Just a couple of things in that box just there. So don't be put off by that menu. You don't need to worry about it. Just ignore everything that's there and go for the bit that I'm going to show you in a moment or two, which is this, WordPress Installer. Now this is exactly the same principle as I showed you with Hostinger. So here, we would just, if you wanted to install WordPress on our domain name, we would just say to SiteGround, I want to install it on whichever of your sites you've got there. As you can see, I've got many domain names connected with this account, but you just pick which site you want to add it to. You create an admin username and a password, and make sure that the admin email is one where you can retrieve your emails when you've picked them up. And you would just click that install button, and just like we did with Hostinger, you will then have a WordPress site. Now, I'm very pleased actually that Sandra has just asked a question. Hello Sandra, nice to see you on the webinar today. Sandra has said, what if you already have a domain name? Well, I'm prepared for that question, Sandra. Let me explain how that would work. I keep all my domain names if you've got a domain name and it's somewhere else, this is what Sandra is asking. What if I have a domain name but it's with 123reg or it's with GoDaddy or something like that, and I want to put my hosting on SiteGround? Okay, that's very easy to sort. This is where I keep all of my domains. Oh, I've got to log in again with LastPass. Let's just log back into that account. And if I go to, I've got a spare domain in here that I'm not using at the moment that I'm going to use for this demonstration. So I've got a domain name that I bought, which is quite a long one actually, but it's unused, Self-Publishing Inner Circle. And I have that domain, I bought it through FastHosts, which is the company I use to register my domain names. Now, to go to Sandra's question, all you need to do is to change the name servers, something called name servers. Now, again, you might say, oh, you know, too much tech, don't want to know, it's more than I can deal with. But I would encourage you to grasp this, because there's really not a lot of tech involved. When you go to your cPanel, when you've got your SiteGround account or your Hostgator account, the first bit of information that they give you is something called your name servers. And there it is in my SiteGround account. You can't miss it. Your name servers. And effectively what your name servers do, I don't want to overgeek this, but in very, very simple terms, your name servers connect your domain name with your website. That's what your name servers do. They connect your domain name with your website. Now, if you've already bought your domain name through SiteGround or Hostgator or whoever it is, then it's already connected. The name servers are sorted for you automatically. But if, in Sandra's case, Sandra's saying, well, hang on, what if I bought my domain name somewhere else? Well, then you've got to do something slightly different. Now, just note those name servers and how easy they are to find in SiteGround. All I have to do is to change my domain name servers from the defaults to Hostgators or SiteGrounds or whoever's you're using. So that's exactly, I've taken that information, I've just moved that information from there and I've moved it into the panel there for my name servers. I just update the name server details. You generally have to wait about 24 to 48 hours. It's interesting, since I've been doing this for a number of years now, it used to take about 24 to 48 hours. In actual fact, your website often appears, it sorts itself out in a couple of hours these days. It seems to be a lot quicker, but in the old days it was a lot slower, and they always say to you, wait about 24 to 48 hours before the domain name matches up with your website. It doesn't happen instantly, but that's how you do it, Sandra. That's how you match up your domain names with your hosting. You've got to look for the name servers. If you can't find the name servers, then ask the support desk. Whoever you do your hosting with, just drop them a ticket and say, how do I find my name servers? How do I change those? And they will explain that too. It's a really quick job. You've seen how easy it is on the screen here. Most of this, frankly, is just familiarity. That's what most of this is. Now, there is another step to that, Sandra, and I'll show you that step. You have to do what's called, you have to add on the domain in your hosting. You've got to add on that domain. So that's why I said I use that button on my cPanel here. So at the moment, I've got my domain, selfpublishinginnercircle.com, and it's pointing towards SiteGround, but I haven't actually added it into SiteGround yet. I haven't told SiteGround that I want it to connect with the site. So to do that, I have to do what's called add on the domain. And that's a very simple process, nothing to it. So let me just change a couple of settings here so I can show you that. Now, I just have to log out of my LastPass account to do this because it makes it a little bit easier for me. So if I click on Add on Domains, my domain is self-publishing. I have to make sure I spell this correctly. Inner Circle. It's not the easiest one to remember, is it? It probably wasn't a very good idea buying that one. Self-publishinginnercircle.com. When you click in there, it just auto-fills the sections. Don't worry about it. You don't need to worry about this ever again. Click on the password generator. That's it. You don't actually have to even remember that password if you're only installing WordPress on it. If you're I don't want to get too geeky with this presentation, but if you're going to upload files and you're going to get into FTP and things like that, then you need to remember that password. But for the sake of this demonstration this evening, you don't need to remember that password. You do need to click Add Domain. Just give that a moment or two. There you go. We've added that domain. So what you've seen me do there, this answers Sandra's question. We had a domain name, but it wasn't with SiteGround. So we changed the name servers. We told SiteGround that we want the domain name and the content, the WordPress site that we're about to install, we want them to lock together so that they're kind of married, if you want, they're holding hands. And that's all you've got to do. That's it. That's it. So we're now ready within our cPanel to install a WordPress site onto that domain name that I've just added. Now, what I'm not sure of this evening is whether that's actually going to display straight away. So I may end up using this site that I've put on Hostgator. But let me go through the process and show you how it works. So having done those steps, and remember, it's easier if you just buy a domain name and get your hosting through SiteGround, because all that's done for you. Click on WordPress Installer, click the Install button. We want to install that onto, where is it? Self-publishing in a circle. Well, there it is, just there. So we match it with the domain that I've just added. I'm going to put that on HTTP. I'm not going to put it in a directory. Do you remember earlier when I said you might have wanted to put it into something like blog? We don't do that. Just leave that empty. We're not going to put it in a folder. This has given us some site settings. It's given us a blog name and a site description. It doesn't matter. We're going to change that later. So you can either leave it or not. It's given us an admin username, a very secure password, and I am just going to put my email address in there just in case I mess it up and get lost. So gmail.com, there we go. And then I'm not going to click any of these buttons. I'm not going to do anything else. I'm just going to click on install. And just watch again as we install WordPress in a matter of seconds. Now, there is nothing geeky here. What's going on in the background is actually really geeky. If you had to do that by hand, you know, it'd probably blow your mind. It is very geeky what's going on in the background, but because we use cPanel, because we're installing WordPress in this way, we don't have to worry about the geek. So we can do it ourselves. And this is why I love WordPress. It's really empowering. Okay, that's it. We now have a website. Now, I don't know whether this is going to work straight off. Let me click on the link. It is. There we go. We have another WordPress site. So let me just share that with you in the chat box. And you can see that I've installed that. There was nothing there, and I've just installed it in front of you right now. So what are we? We're 7:30. I've installed 2 WordPress blogs, and you've seen that the actual installation process takes a couple of minutes. That's it. So it's easy when you know how. And of course, you know, isn't everything easy when you know how? But the purpose of me showing you that is I just want you to understand that there's no rocket science involved in this. You know, you don't have to spend ages reading books or anything like this. If you use WordPress in this way, you can be really empowered in your business. Now, you see, that is the most difficult bit of WordPress. We've done it. That's the geeky bit. The rest is dead easy. So, which blog am I going to use? Let's use this one. I think it's logged me in. Yes, it has. Yeah. So, if we want to log in now to our administrative area, what we're seeing here, I know it looks a bit untidy. It's horrible. It needs tidying up. So, this is not a proper website. We've got to add some content on there, and we're going to do some things with that to tie it up a little bit. But we need to log into that. Now, if you're using SiteGround, you will need to click that login button there, and then you will need to log in with the details that we just used to sign up. Now, I've completely forgotten those because they were too secure, so I'm going to have to use the one that I put on Hostgator earlier, where I did actually remember the details. Now, just so that you know, your login link, URL, web link, whatever you want to call it, is always in the format wp-login.php. It's always in that format. So if I cut and paste that and just add it to the end of my link there, that is going to take me to my login page. Because I put something easy on here, I'm going to be able to log into this one. So let's just log into the administrative area. Okay, now you've got to remember with your WordPress site that there are 2 views. There's the view that the public get, the people who use your site, and there is the view that you get because you are the administrator. And at the moment, I'm seeing my administrator's view. And with WordPress, the key area is on the left-hand side here. This is called the dashboard. So you'll see dashboard just there. Excuse my drawing on there. And the things that we're going to use most often are posts and pages. Those are the things that we're going to use most often. But also here, we've got our plugins, which we're also going to use quite regularly. Let me just talk you through those menus. So this is our dashboard. This is where our posts are kept. Now, this always amuses people, but for somebody like me who's installed WordPress hundreds of times now, it gets a little bit wearing, because this is one of the first things I ever do on a WordPress site, is I erase the post that WordPress puts in, just to show you that there's some content in there. So I've just erased Hello World. I don't want that post. It's just there to show you that there's a little bit of content in there. Now, a lot of people really worry that somehow they're going to damage or spontaneously combust something like a WordPress site. Let me assure you, you've got to try pretty hard to destroy a WordPress site once it's been installed. It really is very hard. And let me just show you that as an example, because I've just deleted a page on the site, and maybe that was something that I didn't want to delete. We can bring it back from the dead instantly by clicking undo. So even though we've deleted that page, it's still in what we call the trash area. So we can bring it back from the dead either by clicking that undo button just there, or in actual fact what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put my spotlight on here so you can see where I'm clicking. Or we can click the trash button just there, and bring it back from the dead. So if I just go back to the trash, click up the trash there is the item that we just deleted just there. We can click restore, or we can delete permanently. It's only when you've clicked delete permanently that is going to disappear. In this case, I am going to delete it permanently. I don't want it. I'm not interested in that. Now, what is the difference between a post and a page? You'll see we've got posts here and pages, and this often confuses people. The easiest thing for me to do, frankly, is to show you a live website, a live blog, and to explain how it works. So this is my paulteague.com blog. This is built on WordPress. This is a site that I've had since 2008, which is my original blog, and it's changed appearance lots and lots of times. Now, just to explain, if you think about the bad old days of websites, where we used to have to build these things manually, websites, old-fashioned websites, usually had pages like home, about us, contact us, what we do, something like that, and they were pages. Those were pages that never really changed, what I call static pages, and that was the old-fashioned kind of website. Now, this is a WordPress blog, but it still has to have those basic pages. So it still has a home page, it still has the About Me page on there, as you would expect, and that seldom changes, that page. It also has a testimonials page on there, as you would expect, but actually that links out to another site. But we have a testimonials area, and it has a contact area as well. So although my site is a blog, it still has those static pages on. WordPress calls those, conveniently, pages. So static content, About Me, Contact Us, that goes into the pages area, but blog posts, and I'll talk to you about blog posts in a moment, blog posts go into the posts area. Now, the great thing about websites, and this is why Google loves WordPress, the whole point of really having a WordPress site is that we, as often as we can, we add content to it. And people always say, well, how often should I be blogging? Well, I always say if you can, once a day, but nobody can do it once a day. I certainly don't do it once a day. The truth about blogging is do it as often as you can. The more often you can add content to your site, the better. But I understand that most people that we talk to within the chamber, they're small or solo operators, they're small businesses or solo operators. You know, we're too busy keeping the roof over our heads to be blogging every day. So just do it as often as you can. It's better to do it once a week, than it is to do it once a month. It's better to do it once a month than it is to do it once a year. Just do it as often as you can. And I certainly don't do it that often. But a blog post is basically a piece of fresh content. So in my case, it's an article. They're articles. I do geeky articles on my personal blog. In your business, it depends what you do. If you're a florist, it might be seasonal flower arrangements. If you sell cycle parts, it might be how to fit parts and maintain your bike during summer, winter, autumn, spring. It's going to be bespoke content for your audience, and that's what's going to bring the audience in and make them read your site. Now, in the bad old days when it was just about us and contact us, there's nothing really for people to read there. The great thing about blogs is there's new content, it's fresh, and people come back to your site all the time, and that's why blogs, that's why WordPress works really well. So to create a new post, it's as simple as clicking the Add New button, and we give it a title. So if I call this Test Post, and then we could just put some text in there, blah, 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 like that. And if we want to add an image, we click Add Media, and we could just select a file to upload. Now, what have I got here? Let's have a look. What have I got that I can upload? I should have had a photo handy, actually. If I just navigate through, if you'll excuse me, to my images, and let's grab a generic image. So if I just grab an image from my personal images, I just upload it, click the Insert into Post button in the bottom right-hand corner here, and we've inserted an image. And that image, incidentally, is now available in our library. A couple of things we could do with that post. Now, obviously, that's the worst post in the world. It hasn't got proper content in there. It's not very interesting. Obviously, you would write great content for that post, but it is as easy as this to create content. So I've got options. I can, and let me just go and get my highlighter here so that you can see where I am. You can save it as a draft. You can preview it. We can lock it out in this visibility area if we want to, or we can set a publishing time for it. So let me just show you how that might work. First of all, I am going to save it as a draft. So let me save draft. Now, save draft means that I can see it, but customers can't. I can click preview to see what that's going to look like as a web page. You can see it's brought my header in there, and it's brought the article in there. And the other thing to remember, always remember this, the only reason that edit button is there is because you are the administrator. You're logged in. Your customers can't see that because they're not logged in. So don't be worried about the edit button there. Okay, you are only seeing that because you are the editor. You are the administrator of that site, and you are currently logged in. So the other thing we could do, and this is quite handy actually, I use this every week, is you can actually set a release date for a particular article. So if you've got an embargoed press release, for instance, maybe you're just about to launch a brand new project, or your company's won a brand new contract and the embargoed time is midday. Let's say it's midday tomorrow on the 1st of March. Well, I can say, okay, that's fine, let's put that the 1st of March, and 1st of March 2017, and I want that to go at 12:01, so just after the embargo time. I can click OK and schedule. Notice it's not publish, it's schedule, and that article will not go live now until that designated time. So that's a really handy function that you can use on WordPress if you want to do that. And you'll see, if I just get my highlighter again up here, that is not going to go live now until March the 1st, tomorrow at 12:01. And if we want to change the time, we can do that. If we delay by 24 hours, it's easy to just change the time on that. Making a page is just as easy. It's exactly the same as creating a post. So with a page, we've got this sample About Me page just here. Let me just remove my vandalism from the screen there. There we go. An About Me page is exactly the same. If we want to do a Contact Us form, let me just do a Contact Me just here. If I've got time, I'll use this later. So Contact Me just here. And we could just publish that straight away when we've created that page. There we go. There is our web link to that page. There is my Contact Me page. Now, obviously, I'm not doing real-life content. This content would be much better if it was in real life. But I just want you to see how quick and disposable using WordPress is. This is not rocket science. This is not geeky. If we delete something, we can bring it back. If we don't like something, we can just delete it. None of it's a problem. It's very straightforward to use. Oh, I've just lost my site there. Excuse me. Let me just go back into the history and bring that site back. This is one of the hazards of having too many windows open. So let me go back to my site there. There we go. Okay, so whenever we want to go back to the dashboard, just move your cursor to the top left-hand corner here, click on Dashboard, and it will bring you back to your dashboard area. Now, there are a couple of other things that I want to show you. At the moment, oh, by the way, if you want to go back to the site, click in the top left-hand corner again and click Visit Site, so we can go to the front page again if we want to. Now, at the moment, I don't like that blog post at all. I know it looks fancy, but it doesn't really work for me at all. I want something a little bit more conventional. So let me just recommend to you two very simple free themes that you can use for WordPress. Now, themes are usually free, and in fact there are hundreds of them free, and you could just, they're easy come, easy go. If you want to change the look of your site, if you're not happy with it, you could do that really easily. Now, just have a look at how we look at the moment. This is the look and feel of my WordPress site. I'm going to change that now. I don't like that at all. So to do that, I need to go to the appearance area in the menus, just here, in that appearance area. So let me just remove my drawings, there we go, and click on appearance. Now, you will see that WordPress has brought in 3 themes for me already. It's brought in 3 recommended themes, and it's installed the theme 2017. Now, let me just show you how easy it is to change the theme. If I wanted to change the theme there to 2015, I could just, well, I could click the live preview button to see what it looks like before I activate it, but in actual fact, I could just click activate on that theme. It's now swapped the themes round, so 2017 is inactive, 2015 is live, and if I go to my site now, you will see the whole look of my site has changed, just like that. Sound like Tommy Cooper, don't I? But it's as easy as that. So let's go back to the dashboard, click on appearance again and themes, and we can change the theme again. And this is, I want you to get used to this with WordPress. You know, it's easy come, it's easy go. None of this is a problem. If you do something that you don't like, we can fix it later. So let's put another theme on. This is the 2016 theme. Click activate, and it changes the whole look and the feel of the site. Now, what I should say to you is that any pages, any images, any posts that you've created remain. You don't lose the content. It just changes the look and feel of your WordPress website. So you're never losing your content here. It's just changing the look and the feel of the site. Okay, so what if I don't like any of those themes? And to be honest with you, I don't. So first thing is, I'm going to delete some themes. So to delete a theme, I click on 2017 here, and let me just get my highlighter because this is tucked out the way. Just down there, I can delete that theme if I want to, very easily. So if I click on delete, are you sure? Yep, no problem. I want rid of that theme. There you go, it's gone. Easy come, easy go. Now, WordPress will not let you delete the active theme. If you don't have any theme in your WordPress site, well, there's nothing left really, is there? So it will not let you. It's impossible. It will not let you. See, it doesn't even give it to you as an option. So it will always insist that you have one theme installed. So again, you can't break anything here. So let's get rid of that spare theme that I don't want and delete it. There we go. And so now we've only got one theme left. Now, frankly, I don't even like that theme. So I'm going to recommend, if you're completely new to this, I'm going to recommend 2 themes to you that are free and that I just know from experience work fine. I'm just going to take a drink of water. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so how do we find a new theme? To do that, we click on Add New up here. So let's go to Add New. And when we click on Add New, you will see here, if you look at the menus at the top, Featured, Popular, Latest, Favorite, you will see that there are literally hundreds and hundreds of different themes, and you can just pretty well search through them until you find the theme that you like, the look and the feel that you're after. And there are lots and lots of free themes here. Look, if you go to the popular themes, 2,347 free themes. So you're never going to be lost for a theme. A couple of tips with themes these days, and I would like to think that, I mean, there's probably some old themes in that library, but you need to be making sure that you've got a mobile-friendly theme and a responsive theme. Everybody's looking at your site on mobile devices and tablets now. We need to be bolting that in right at the core now. We need to make sure that we're responsive and we're mobile friendly. So when you're checking these themes, just take a look and make sure you're getting, when I click on details and preview, just look at the details here. It'll tell you a little bit about it. Just make sure that it's responsive. Now I'm just going to go for a theme that I know works well. So there are 2 themes that I'm going to recommend to you. Hemingway theme, spelt with 1 M, is just a very simple, standard, uncomplicated theme. There it is. I've done a search for it. I can click install. Give it a moment or 2, then it's good to go. I'm not going to activate it just yet. I'm just going to install it. And the other theme is called WP for WordPress, Clean Green. WP Clean Green. There it is. Click on install. and off we go. Now, if I then go back to Appearance and Themes, you will see that although they're not activated, those themes are now good to go. They're ready to go. If we want to just get a feel for what they're going to look like, we can click on Live Preview, take a look at that. There we go. That's what it's going to look like. Clearly, we've got some customization to do there, but you can see that's a pretty standard format for a site. And if we look at Clean Green, we can live preview that. There's Clean Green, just a fairly standard format. We haven't got any content on it yet. And I'm just going to click Save and Activate on Clean Green. And when I save and activate that, if I go to my site, you can see that I've completely changed the look and feel of my site now. It's just all waiting for some content. Now, I'm mindful of the time, so I do want to talk to you about plugins, and I do want to show you the most essential setting on your WordPress site. So let's do the most essential setting first. I must show you this. This is really important for SEO, search engine optimization. One of the first things I do when I install a new WordPress site is I click on the settings button just there, and I change this important setting. I'm not really sure, having used WordPress for so many years, I'm not really sure why they don't just default to this, but they don't at the moment. So Settings, Permalinks. And you need to make sure that your structure, your website post name structure is the post name setting. Basically, I don't want to over geek this, but WordPress gives you a number of different formats that your web links can be in, and we definitely don't want it to be in a number format because that's useless for SEO. And you'll hear all sorts of WordPress gurus speculate about which is the best one. I've been doing this for a long time, and I can tell you that if you use the post name format, I think it's fair to say that the majority of people who use WordPress would say that's the one to use. So you need to make sure that that one is ticked, the post name permalinks format, and that will make your pages and your posts SEO friendly, search engine friendly, so that they get ranked in Google. And then we just click Save Changes on there to make those changes, and it will just change the format of the page links that we create. I need to show you plugins. Now, in very, very simple terms, plugins allow you to make your basic WordPress site more functional. It allows it to do more things. So if you want social media buttons, you'll be able to do that with plugins. If there's something bespoke that you want your site to do, there'll be a plugin that sorts that for you. Now, again, plugins are easy come, easy go. So what's happened here is that some of these, some plugins have been installed automatically for us. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to deactivate the ones I don't want. I don't want Clef, and I don't want limit login attempts here. I don't want that version. So I've deactivated them, and I'm going to click the arrow at the top here which allows me to perform bulk actions, and I'm going to just delete the lot of them. I don't want any of those plugins. So click Apply and Delete. Easy come, easy go. If I made a mistake there and thought, oh, whoopsie, I wanted to keep that plugin, I'd just go and search for it, then install it again. The data doesn't get lost. So, it really is, it's very hard to do damage here. It really is hard to do damage with a WordPress site. So let's go to the plugins area, and let me show you how wonderful plugins can be. Now, on the slides that you get after the presentation, I've recommended a series of plugins that I use in all of my sites. And I'll rattle through them now. I'm not going to have time to install them all, but I will show you how to install a plugin. And remember, the details and the links for these are on the slides. So I use all-in-one SEO for my search engine optimization. A lot of people use Yoast, but I'm not keen on Yoast. That's a personal thing. It's a little bit like car mechanics. You take your car along, it's got a rattle in it, and two different mechanics will say, well, it's your big ends, and somebody else will say it's your overhead camshaft or whatever it is. As you can tell, I don't mean cars. And it's a bit like that with plugins, but my preferred SEO plugin is all-in-one SEO. Yoast is a very popular alternative. Limit login attempts, Google XML Sitemaps, anti-spam, fast secure contact form, and cookie law info. Those are my preferred basic kit of plugins. I'm not going to have time to install those on tonight's presentation, but let me start with one or two just to get the ball rolling. So for plugins, they just work like themes. Many of them are free. I pay for a lot of mine. Some of them you have to pay for, but actually you don't have to pay. You'll get everything you want for free, but often I want super cool functionality on my site, so I do pay for a lot of my plugins. So we just click on Add New, and in this case I want to look for Fast Secure Contact Form. So I want to add a Contact Us form to my website. Now, again, you'll see this on the slides. I have given you this on the slides. When you're looking for plugins, and there are plugins that do all sorts of things, if it could be done on a website, there will be a plugin that does it. This is Fast Secure Contact Form. This is a plugin I've used for years to create my contact forms on WordPress. Just a few words about when you're looking for plugins, just to make sure that you're getting good plugins. You're generally looking for lots of 4 to 5 star reviews. You're looking for lots of active installs. You want the plugin to be compatible with your version of WordPress, and you want to see some evidence that the plugin has been updated, in the last month or two. That there's somebody actually keeping this up to date. So this passes, and actually all the plugins I show you pass that threshold, those criteria. So let's just install that plugin. Install now, and let me show you what this does. It's a really great plugin. It's a very good way of showing you what plugins do. So we install it, then we activate it. Always got to activate it. And then if I go to my Fast Secure Contact Form settings, it uses something called shortcodes. And shortcodes basically allow you, in very simple terms, they allow you to do complicated things without the geekery on WordPress. So if I take that shortcode there that it gives me in the settings, and I go to a page, let's go to my Contact Me page that I made earlier, erase my text there, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy that shortcode into the page. I'm going to update it so it shows the changes, and then I'm going to click on the link so that we can see what that looks like, and you will see that it has created for us a Contact Me form with those annoying capture things on, to stop the spammers getting through. In a moment, we've created a Contact Me form. Now, let me tell you, I've been coding sites in the old days. In 2001, I used to have to hand code those, and let me tell you, it was difficult to do a form. These days, you could do it in minutes using just a WordPress plugin. So plugins are very, very easy to use. I want to show you one more plugin just because a lot of people don't know about this, and this is really great for search engine optimization. One of the other first plugins that I put in all of my sites is, if I click on the Add New button here, it's called Google XML Sitemaps. Now, don't worry too much about the geekery of this. There it is, Google XML Sitemaps. It reaches all of my criteria here. I've used this for years. Click on Install now. Just give it a moment to install. Click on Activate. And then we don't need to change any of the settings. It's done it for us already. But if I just show you very simply what Google XML Sitemaps does, I don't want to over geek you with search engine optimization here, but in very simple terms, when you set up a new website, number one, you need to let the websites know that you're there. It's like saying, index us, put us in the search engines. And what Google XML Sitemaps does is it tells Google and Bing that your website is there. But even cleverer than that, every time you add new content to your website, it does something called pinging the search engines. It lets the search engines know that there is brand new content on your site that the search engines need to come and index. Now, again, I don't want to go too deep into this, but that's a good thing. So for the purpose of this presentation this evening, Google XML Sitemaps is a great plugin to add. Just install it and activate it, and it will do all the clever stuff behind the scenes for you. Okay, we've done quite a lot in an hour, and our time is nearly up, so I just want to go back to the slides momentarily here and just talk you through what's on these slides. What I've done on the slides this week is I've given you my recommended plugins. I've given you some sources, my favorite sources of WordPress themes. I generally pay for my themes for WordPress. It's like everything. You can use free themes, and I used free themes for 2 to 3 years when I started with WordPress. But the bigger and more complicated your site gets, the more confident you get, you're probably going to want to get more complex themes. And to save you hunting, these are the best places to buy your themes from, to get quality themes. I've talked to you about widgets, which we haven't had time to look at tonight, and I've just shown you lots of other things in there that you might want to use. I've also given you some screenshots to show you how to use SiteGround and to add a domain on to answer Sandra's question. It's in the slides, and there are many other little bits and pieces in there in the slides that you can download with this presentation. The couple of key messages that I need to give you before we finish, let's just go back to the current slide just there. If you get stuck on WordPress, WordPress has its own support area. There's wonderful support where you can ask questions and people will help you, and it's all free. It's a wonderful community of people who are just enthusiastic about using WordPress. So use those links on the slides there if you ever need any help with this. And if you want to get the replay for this presentation, it's going to be at that web link there. Slightly different this evening. The replay, the webinar replay is going to come out. It's going to come out as fast as I can process it after we finished. So you'll see how fast I can work this evening. But it's going to come out within, you're going to actually get the link to the replay probably within 2 hours of us finishing at 8:30 this evening. So I'm going to work extra fast to process it for you. And the automated emails will come out, and the slides will also be there. You can go to that page right now, cumbriagrowthhub.co.uk/webinar/WordPress. You'll see there's a whole load of resources there already. What isn't there just yet is the video, because I haven't finished yet and I haven't had time to process it, but it will be there definitely by tomorrow morning, first thing tomorrow morning. So that's a really important link that you need to look at. And also, just before we finish, I just need to let you know, clearly we've just had time to rattle around WordPress and just show you some basics this evening. We are running, as a Chamber of Commerce, 2 WordPress courses. They're hosted by Ray Cassidy, who knows a lot about WordPress. He works with it with clients, and he has his own WordPress sites. So Ray is teaching WordPress for beginners on the 24th of March. That is £65 if you are a Chamber member, and £120, obviously plus the VAT, if you're a non-member. And on the 28th of April, same price, £65 for members. Members of benefits of membership, obviously, is that you can access great training at a huge discount. So £65 for members, £120 plus VAT for non-members. And the person you need to talk to, not right now obviously, because she's not in the office, tomorrow morning from 9 o'clock, Catherine Dunstan, drop her an email or phone and book your place on those courses. Thank you very much for attending the training this evening. I'm going to just take a 1-2-minute break just to have a drink of water, and then I will be with you and very happy to answer your WordPress questions.